Okay, welcome to our January 16th meeting. We'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this time, we'll open our Board of Finance annual meeting. So I'll call Kay Gatton, the treasurer.
All right, I think that was a year ago, but I'm chair of this, so I'll go ahead with the agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at the meeting minutes?
Yes. I move to approve the January 17, 2023 meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries. Election of officers.
I'll nominate Rob Schuman to be chairman of the Board of Finance for 2024.
I'll second that. Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed? Which was that?
I guess.
2.5. Motion carries.
All right, so I guess next item on the, well, we need to appoint Kay as the secretary.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint Kay Gatton as secretary for 2024.
Second.
The motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. Kay's the secretary. Then review investment policy and
And the interest earned,
I'm sorry.
and the interest earned this past year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, do you have a copy for me to sign, or can I just send my copy and give it to you?
You can sign that one, or I could, or I
I've already reviewed it. Do you want to talk to it? Do you want to speak to it?
do you have any questions regarding it?
No, I think it's important that the constituency knows that we had a great year with earnings for interest. That our treasurer has done a great job with investments and gained the county $1,364,962.97 in interest. Well done,
Thank you.
That's the highest.
treasurer.
Highest ever. that
Good
we-
job.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you, Kay.
Very much so, I'm very happy. I will probably be discussing also putting more, we've done a little bit different. I did 2 CDs which have been renewed, so those are locked. And then also adding to the Trust Indiana Fund, that is funds that are available for us at any time. That today was right at 5.41 interest rate, so. Of course, this is not always going to continue, just.
Right, yeah,
But I am
absolutely.
taking advantage of it while we can, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And with Trust Indiana, that's money that we can invest today, pull back tomorrow.
Correct.
Right?
It's not locked. The
Yeah.
other 2 CDs are locked. Those both won't be available until next summer. But they were both in the 5% also.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No,
I would entertain a motion to accept.
so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. I guess we've already done the discussion of investments. Is there any other questions for Kay?
No,
Any further business? Okay. Need a motion to adjourn, or can we just adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks. Okay, at this time, we'll open our regular January 16th, 2024 commissioner meeting. And the first item on the agenda is an amendment. We'll be accepting bids. So this morning at 10:30, we opened bids for Limestone. And we took them under advisement at 10:30. And Ryan, you've had a chance to review, everything seems to be in order. So I would entertain a motion to accept those bids. That was bid number 11, and it was for Limestone.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. That motion carries. Next up on the agenda is Ryan Getz from our Highway Department with a community crossing matching grant and financial commitment letter.
Hopefully you've got that in front of you.
Yep.
Every year, we have the opportunity, I guess, to get, become part of the Community Crossings Matching Grant Fund. Typically, in years past, it's been a project total of $1 million. 2024, that's been increased to 1.5 million. And the project we are planning on doing this summer with these funds be to pave Lincoln Way from US 30 to the Kosciuszko County line at a total of $1,763,550. The county our size, we are responsible for 25% of that. Whatever the total ends up being, it could be less than this. It was less this year for 24. But our matching 25% would come out to $440,887.50, which is a good deal to get that road paved, which it needs badly.
I know that we've had this discussion before, but just to reiterate, you have those funds available in your MVH fund?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, we have that set aside for this matching grant.
Okay. And if we weren't awarded full amount, do you have a plan to scale back the size and scope of the project?
We can, absolutely.
Okay.
But every indication I've gotten from our representative within that, we should be getting the full amount.
Okay. And that's not one of those where we would pay little by little, right? Like with the federal grants, we would be paying in increments. This would be a one-time lump sum at the end of the project.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, once we receive the invoice.
Okay. Commissioners?
I would move to approve the letter as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. I'll open up for further discussion. This does require one signature from the chairman. I know in past we've had the rule where if that was the case that I could sign. So I don't know that the motion needs to include that, but I just want to let you know that. So I have a motion and a second. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And oppose the same, and that motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Okay, next item on the agenda is the zoning ordinance amendment. Nathan.
Good afternoon. So this was presented to you at the last meeting, and there was a bit of a oversight on my part. The certification had incorrectly attributed the petitioner as the commissioners, and it should have been plan commission. So you guys didn't ask for this, plan commission did. It was actually as part of what was going to be a bigger set of changes, including some more major changes to extract the rules of procedure from ordinance, make them their own rules. That's kind of set aside. That's kind of actually even bigger than what I anticipated. So these were just some miscellaneous changes that we're tacking onto that. Still miscellaneous. As I mentioned last time, a couple of the big ones are the removal of the minimum floor size for homes in AG because that allows for additional flexibility. tiny houses, if you will, some other concepts, the secondary dwelling units. The lot sizes, or excuse me, front setback averaging, clarifying that that can be applied in any zoning district. That one's actually one that will be fairly commonly used because we see variances for, well, one example was we had a front yard setback variance up in Etna, that if we had this averaging rule, it wouldn't apply. Currently, it only applies in the lake areas, but there are many other places, unincorporated towns, Larwell, that this could be applied. I would expect this would reduce some of the variances that we see because of that. And then the other large one that we have is the changes to the animal units regarding poultry. Poultry, when it was first established, was not dealt with in basically the same order as cattle and hogs, which are our most frequent animals that we look at for animal units. So with these changes, poultry is dealt with in a more comparable fashion as we do with cattle and hogs. So, and as you can see, there's some other changes.
Any questions for Nathan? Rob, you were on you served on the planning commission last year. Did this come to us as a unanimous recommendation, or?
Wasn't unanimous. I was not at the December meeting. It looks like it was 5-2. I was one of the two absent, I believe.
It was, yeah, we had 2 people absent. We had 2 people vote against the final motion. And that was not because they were against what was being proposed here, but because they wanted to have another item that was extracted out be left in. So what is here, I could reasonably say did get full support, but those 2 who voted wanted something else too.
Okay.
And then I think Greg just had one question. I mentioned tiny houses. So if someone had, I don't know, let's say 2 acres and they wanted a tiny house, I mean, I would be fine with that. And I think most of our constituents would, but I guess I wouldn't want a neighborhood with tiny houses.
Right. And the way this is written, this only applies to residences in the AG agricultural district. So we do have some subdivisions that are zoned AG that are basically legacy subdivisions. So, I mean, Manitou Woods, for example, much but not all of Lincoln Point are, but they're also developed. So you're not going to see necessarily new houses going in there because they already have houses there. So anything new should be zoned RR or not AG. So this is intended for just AG. But you're right, that could be problematic if someone were to go in and say bulldoze a good chunk of Lincoln Point and put in nothing but tiny houses. It theoretically could be possible, but I would say not likely.
I would just hate to see stuff like 20 years from now or 30 years from now, if we don't foresight of that. Something like that would happen, and then, you know, people would wonder why we didn't do anything to prevent something like that. Because I've researched the tiny homes, and they're called shanty towns, the shanty towns, and they do bring a lot of issues.
One thing too that if you're looking at the coast especially, a lot of what is being built on the coast are actually what we would consider recreational vehicles, so park model RVs. And that rule is still staying the same. You can't occupy a recreational vehicle as a dwelling unless you get a variance and go through other hoops. We have one of those that did get a variance. So those are the ones that would be moved in, moved out because they're in wheels, for example. But this would be permanent structures that aren't going to go anywhere.
And they would be subject to the same codes, code enforcement.
Right. The Indiana Building Code actually has a very specific tiny house section to allow certain allowances. And I said tiny house, but I'm not thinking that'll be the most common use. I'm thinking this will be the 700 square foot house or 660 square foot accessory secondary dwelling unit, which currently would require variances. So small, but not quote unquote tiny, not like 220 or so.
This would be, the ordinance number on this would be 2024-01. There's not yet been an ordinance in 2024, so how would you like to move forward?
I would make a motion to approve the amendment as presented, ordinance 2024-01 as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, the same, and that passes unanimously.
Thank
Is
you.
there a copy for us to sign?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is the Safe Streets for All grant agreement amendment. I know you all have reviewed that, right? So the amendments are simple. On page 3, there was a phrase that said within Whitley County's jurisdiction. Jurisdiction was changed to jurisdictions. And that would allow us to include incorporated areas in the study. On page 4 and 11, the budget is changed to reflect the actual numbers from our consultant, who is American Structure Point. And on page 5, it was amended to name Ryan Getz as a key person. So they're very simple. I would just need a motion to accept those amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, the same, and that passes unanimously. I just sign this copy. Okay, next item on the agenda is the resolutions for electronic notices for Commissioner and Auditor's Office. I'll let you speak to this.
Sure. So recently there was a change to the Indiana statute on how public notice is provided. I think this was kind of a concept of COVID. Obviously, we realized the innovations of having electronic meetings and whatnot. And so they provided an avenue to provide electronic notice a little bit easier, so you don't have to always provide through the traditional means of going through a newspaper. So how this would work is if you were to adopt this resolution, the first notice would be the same. You'd still submit it to the newspaper just as you had, but then further notices, a second notice for certain items such as a bid could be done electronically. We'd have to designate a spot within your website, whether it be specific to the county commissioner board or whomever. But it would have to clearly state who and what the notice is for. And that would have to stay up for 7 days. It kind of depends on the event being noticed, but generally it's 7 days. We found with other governmental entities that have adopted this, it's really just improved the flow for your staff.
Sure.
So with adopting this, you would have to designate one individual to be the person that's in charge of making sure the electronic notice is published within accordance with statute, and we provided instructions and materials to help with that.
Yeah, so that would be one individual per resolution. Is that right? Because we have one that names Commissioner's Assistant and the other that names the Auditor.
Right, yeah, so
Okay.
essentially, I think either one would be allowed. I'm not aware, on behalf of the county commissioners, you often established notice or public notice. I'm not sure the instances in which the public or the auditor would need to present notice. There could be, I'm just not as well versed in that avenue. So you could adopt both, but in either case, it could have the extent of allowing two individuals on behalf of the county commissioners.
Sure,
to
sure.
notice, which is probably not a bad idea.
Right.
As one person.
So would council need to approve their own resolution to name the auditor as well? Or is this resolution applicable to the county?
Common council, yes. So this resolution that you'd be adopting today really only for the county commissioners.
Okay,
So any item that needs to be publicly noticed on behalf of the county commissioners,
yeah,
go through the electronic notice. However, for common council, they would adopt a resolution, which would essentially look very similar.
right. The reason I asked is because per statute, the auditor's office serves as the secretary to both bodies, the commissioner and
Okay.
council. So I wonder, would this resolution be applicable then for any county council publications?
They would have to authorize.
Notice. Okay,
I think they'd have to authorize that, although I would suggest just in terms of, so there's no confusion.
Yeah.
As to what's allowed for each board,
Yeah.
that they adopt a similar resolution that's, more or less the same as the one.
Yeah. okay, great. Okay, any other questions? County attorney. Okay, so these would be resolutions number 2024-01 and resolution number 2024-02. The first one that you have should be for naming Tammy Hippenhammer, Commissioner Assistant, as the authorized person. So that would be 01. No, we did an ordinance before. These are resolutions. So we've not yet done a resolution. We did an ordinance. So this would be 01 for Cammy. We'll do 02 for Tiffany Weekends, the county auditor.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2024-1.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2024-01. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand, and opposed the same, and that passes unanimously.
Move to approve resolution 2024-02.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2024-02. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand, and opposed the same, and that passes unanimously. Okay, next item on the agenda is, in addition to the agenda, our annual redevelopment commission appointments. So these are appointments that we do every year rather than terms. The term is the calendar year. So I know that Teresa, you had talked to both John Myers and Frank Kessler. I had talked to John Myers. It seems they both have interest to continue. And so I would entertain a motion to reappoint John Myers and Frank Kessler to the redevelopment commission.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Motion from Commissioner Basinger, a second from Commissioner Schuman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same, and that passes unanimously. Payroll and accounts payable claims. I know Commissioner Schuman, you had a chance to review last week. There was one last run that I reviewed this morning. Everything seems to be in order.
Move to approve accounts payable.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve accounts payable. All those in favor, raise your right hand, and oppose the same, and that passes unanimously. Payroll.
I'll make a motion to approve payroll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve payroll. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, the same. That passes unanimously. Has everyone had a chance to review meeting minutes from January 2nd?
Yes.
Any additions or corrections?
I'll move to approve January 2nd, 2024 meeting minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve meeting minutes. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And opposed, the same, and that passes unanimously. Do you have a copy? Minutes. Yeah. Just kind of sign the regular.
Yeah, I just had that.
Okay. Zach, is there anything you'd like to add? Is there anything that the law office is working on for the county or?
I believe there's a last second item in the process that we'll probably talk about the next meeting, but with the solid waste, we're reviewing the material that we just received them. So we expect to have some sort of action on that. It sounds like I'm coming.
Okay, so amendments to the,
I think it's the
Sure.
short order.
yeah.
Interlocal.
The interlocal agreement. Okay. At this time, I'll open up for public comment. If anyone would like to come forward and speak, we'll open that time up now. Okay, hearing none. Tamla, is there anything you'd like to add?
No.
Commissioner Basinger, Commissioner Schuman,
Nothing.
and I have nothing to add. So at this time, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Very good.
You're good.